Okay, let's just get right into it. Who is the most dominant species? Humans or Pokemon? When I say dominant, I don't mean in the apex predator type of way. I do mean which species exerts more influence on the world itself, whether it be through the ecosystem or just other species. So in other words, which species is instrumental to the other? At first glance, the answer seems obvious, right? It's humans. In the same way we in our world are the most dominant species, just like us, they have dominated the world in very similar ways. They are able to create gigantic cities and collect massive amounts of resources for anything they may need. It's stuff like that which allows them to have a massive amount of influence on the ecosystem. But all those points are kind of moo when you consider the other major aspects which arguably makes them the most dominant species. Pokeballs. The core argument as to why humans are the most dominant species hinges on the point that humans have been able to domesticate every single Pokemon alive. In their current day and age, it's easier, now more than ever, for anyone to have a Pokemon if they want to. A toddler could have a Pokemon if they wanted to. A child can now catch God if they wanted to. Okay, to be fair, maybe using the word domestication and control is the wrong word, because obviously, Pokemon and trainers are friends. But it is pretty clear that the act of catching Pokemon is not just sport for humans, one which really changes the balance of the relationship. From this point of view, it is hard to argue that the humans aren't the most dominant species. But after this break, let's explore that in more detail. Hey, welcome back. So now, let's explore the other side of the argument. This may seem futile, but there are actually some arguments to be made that Pokemon are the dominant species on Earth. Firstly, it may be true that human culture can be found everywhere, but most human culture is centered around Pokemon. Almost everything from their cultural festivals, their education system, the medical system seems to be centered around Pokemon. In fact, those gigantic cities seem to be only possible through the help of Pokemon. And this isn't new. Almost every ancient civilization we see seem to be centered around worshipping Pokemon. From this standpoint, you could easily argue that these creatures have a much larger influence on the world than the humans do. But this can go one step further. Let me ask one more question. Let's say a trainer captures Arceus. Arceus? Let's say a trainer captures Arceus. Are they now its owner? You could say, yeah, but when you really think about it, it's really hard to say. Arceus is God. They made everything. And therefore, they seem to be eternal. This causes some issues because yes, I could theoretically catch it, but Arceus is immortal while I'm not. I will eventually pass away, and from its eternal perspective, our time together would be a blink of an eye. So to us, we may think that we made it our pet, but to it was simply accompanying you for a very short time. I think that's the main issue with calling Pokemon our pets. For the most part, pets accompany their owner for a small part of their life, but here the opposite is true. Trainers accompany their Pokemon for a small part of their life, and then eventually when their time ends, the Pokemon moves on to something else. This argument works for many others. Of course, there is the other legendaries, but regular Pokemon too. Some Pokemon are believed to live for thousands of years. Some can time travel. Others can live forever online. More crazy than that, it is believed that for some Pokemon, death isn't the end. After perishing, it is believed that some can return as ghost Pokemon. I think that's the main point I'm trying to make here. Pokemon aren't just animals. Some are gods who control time and space, and there's a chance that there are many other alien Pokemon who exist. The way they experience life is far more complex and grand than humans do. They don't just shape human life, they shape life itself. And for that reason, I think it's safe to say that they're the most dominant species on Earth. Anyway, yeah, I think I'm done. Subscribe, and peace.